Hello and welcome to this quick demonstration on SAP Factory Data Capture or Production Capture Tools. To put simple, we will be showing you today the SAP Web Apps, more precisely than the terminal, that allows basically operators and managers and basically lead operators to basically control, keep track of, and execute any operation regarding any operation step that's been planned for the day. To put simple, we're going to have a simple example today of a work order to make some chocolate cookies. This chocolate cookies requires some material, requires to mix some baking and some packing, and requires specific planning time. For any planning questions related, please refer back to our demonstration on Advanced Production Scheduler. So basically, once you have this work order available, the operators basically goes directly to what we call the web apps. Basically, the web apps work on any handheld device. They are adaptable as long as you have a scanner device, tablets, phones, anything that could be scanner based also, but as long as you have your browsers and some Wi-Fi. So here basically I will connect as my operator, and you'll see here multiple applications. All applications are based on the user's authorizations. So for example here, if I wanted to be just the quality control inspection guy, I might only have specific quality control inspection applications. Maybe I was the inventory guy and I would have stock transfers, inventory counting, stuff like that. In our case scenario today, we're going to look into our work order factory data capture applications. And here you have multiple applications such as work order time receipts, the pull report, work order start, work order stop, work order log on and log off, work order goods receipt, work order goods issue. You have basically so many applications based on your actual production requirements. Some clients might have some pure backflushing processes where all material should be just backflushed upon completion. Some might have manual issuance to be made, etc., etc. An example of what we can do is the following. You can basically do a full work order tracking from the start to the finish. For example, in the work order start, you'll be able to just scan in the work order and start executing the work order if needed. You can do it paperless, or you can still use what we call a traveler, which will have specific scanners, barcodes to be scanned to execute the work. So here, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to be entering the first operation, which is basically pouring the mix into the mixer, and with the specific barcode requirements. Here, I just scanned it in, it pulls it out for me, or as you can see here, it populates information, or you can do it by search, where you can basically, if I delete the information first, I can search, and here I have the information of all the operations that is listed on my user, for example. Here I'm the manager, so I do have quite a few of those available. So here I'm just going to go back into my work order. Here I have the option to select the resource that was assigned by my planners, or I can select another resource based on the logic you define in the system to allow to see that or not. You're able to see any operation instructions, as you can see here on the screen, and you can just basically validate the selection of your resource. Based on your requirements, you're able to define specific time types. For example, if I wanted to do just pure processing, I could just have the processing available. But if I had a machine to set up, I could literally set up a machine time to be able to keep track of that. Costing could be different. It could be also quality control. Everything here is available for you based on resource, based on personnel authorizations, and other topics related to that. So here I am, again, the manager, so I have access to all the setup times. Here I'm just going to do pure processing. The system automatically logs into the system for you. And in the back end, if you go back to your SAP screens, this obviously the operator do not need to see. You'll see here automatically that your operator was logged in. The great thing about this is that it also asks you if you have any quality control operations. It automatically creates it for you. So in this specific mixing step, if I was a QC operator, I would also be able to straight from here go to my QC by samples, and I would be able to review the latest created QC, which is this one for my chocolate cookie. Then here I can just basically do it quickly, check any information on pressure, and for example here I can enter 0.5. Actually this is wrong, as you can see here it says it should be in between 0.05 and 0.10. So here what I'm going to do is just add 0.6, and it's going to release it for me. Temperature mix, same thing. I'm going to enter 16, and now it has been validated and released automatically. So basically here is just to show you some quick, easy ways of managing your quality control integrated within the solution that you might need. And you can also attach any documents if needed to that quality control run. If I go back to SAP, you'll be able to see here that it has automatically completed the QC order for me. Excellent news. So here I'm basically going back to my web apps. I am basically just processing my work order. I'm just doing my daily jobs. I could, if I wanted to, do some standard work order material reservations if I wanted to the same work order. Again, I can just scan it in, search it, or just go straight here. Here, if I wanted to, I could just select some batches, information I have in stock, and basically select the batch I wanted to reserve it to the job. Here I can see that some quantity was already reserved of that batch for another work order. That's an option if you wanted to do with material reservations. And I'm just doing my job, going through the motions, and here I'm going to do work order stop. Same thing, you could barcode the information in, or you could literally just select, based on your user again, all of the open work orders that you are working on right now as a resource. So here I'm working on my work order 233, operation position 10 and operation 10. I'm going to click on stop work. It automatically enters, if I wanted to, the time of processing, and here I can process basically the quantities if needed and scrap wanted. So for example, here I'm going to say, hey, I have actually, I've produced my, I don't know, let's do a partial receiving of 1,000 units. This is a partial receipt if I wanted to. Or if I had said I've completed the first initial step, you can basically report back if needed or not the quantities in WIP or not. This is also an integrated solution for you to review. So here I'm just going to say, I've produced 5,000 kilograms. I've validated the first step. My quality control order was completed. And I can just execute the next step. As you can see here, if I go back into the system, it literally updates it for you, stating that you have completed the work order, time capture has been done, and it also enters any cost related to that operation steps that you tried to process. So it gives you very precise tracking of when you started and when you completed the job, quantity reported back, etc., etc. And if you continue the journey, you're basically able to do other ways of doing it. For example, the pull report. Why am I talking about the pull report? Here I want to do my baking step. Okay, so I could go back here, but I could go to my pull report. Why? Because the pull report is going to show me all of the available resources. And here I wanted to go to my, I believe it was my oven. Where is my oven? Let's try and find it. What was the number of my oven? It's my CC oven 01. CC oven 01 right here. So basically I can select, as you can see here, based on the resource, it's telling me this is the job I am supposed to execute, okay? And it tries to put it into a way that you know that this is the only job available for that specific requirement. The date would be updated and the time would be updated based on the advanced production schedulers that please refer back to into our previous demo. Here you can select it and it basically does the same thing. It shows you the information based on the work order you're trying to execute, but this time I'm doing my operation 20. It tells you exactly what you need to do. Is there any operation steps, add all the trades into the oven selected by scheduling. And here it also tells you how many you've booked, and it also shows you all of the required material for that specific staging or work order you're trying to execute. So specifically, as per previously stated, you can basically select the start and it does exactly the same thing. It starts keeping track of executed time. So you can do your business, you can go around with your world and do what you need to do. And again, once you've completed some steps, you can just come back to your specific here, your resource. You can go back to your oven if you wanted to. Let me actually reboot that pull report. And as you can see here, it's in red. If it's in red, it means it's actually being reported back to. So you know if people are working or not on the resource as we speak. Here again, you have the information. You can clock in and again, just select the stop button. And here again, reports back the time. It tells you what you're doing. You're doing processing time here. I do not have the option to change because I defined this to be just pure processing. Here I can just report back my work in progress, do a partial or completion, depending if you have to clock in or not back into your operation step. I just click on save. The time receipt has been created. Now I'm arriving to the last operation step. So here I can go back here. I can show you again one more time into SAP. It has completed the operation step. I now have available my last step. This was not available until I actually completed the previous step. Same goes with quality control. If I did not complete quality control, I would not have been able to process the following step in my production capture file steps. So here you have, again, the same information, time capture information. If you wanted to, you could just scan in as a last barcode to complete the job. So here, again, I can go to my pull report, or you could go straight away to your work order time receipt, which is, again, another way of executing your factory data capture, and also work order backflushing to another extent. Here in this step, it's the same process. I can go and grab my routing position, which is this one available right here, which is the last one. In here, I can just type in the information that I would like to have. For example, here, I can say I'd started at this time. You can just enter it in like this. And if you had to, you could just say, I started at 4:35, and here say, hey, I finished it at 4:41. And it tells you exactly how long it took. You can enter your quantity, but here I'm going to do a partial quantity. Why? Because I've actually wanted to show you a different way of executing the time receipt based on my settings. Again, you can do your issuing as you move along based on operation steps, or you can do it at the end, or you can do it up front. It's up to your business requirements. So here I'm doing a partial receipt, and I've actually created that actual document. Simple. Basically just report back time as you need. I can go back to my work order. I can review the information. And as you can see here, I've just reported back the time, and that's it. So for the sake of the demo, I'm going to show you the manual issuing process. But again, it could have been automatic based on backflush processes if that's something you want to see. So here, for example, on the work order goods issue, I can just go and select my work order. I can see the information that is needed. And here you can basically issue out one by one the quantities needed. So for example, here, I could select this information or the batch that was reserved. And here I can say, hey, I'm going to issue just an example of 100 units of my flour, 100 kilograms. I can save, and the system is going to execute on the work order that specific consumption as per needed. As you can see here, it actually consumed that batch and the quantities defined. But let me do the same exercise, but with backflushing now. After some changes of my settings, I'm going to do one last example, but it works the same in all of them. I'm going to do some backflushing. So for example, on my work order time receipt, I can go and select my work order one more time. And here I'm going to say, hey, I've worked from here till here, and just update some time and say, hey, I'm going to enter 1,000 units partial. It actually asks me for a bin location as I'm also doing the reception of those 1,000 units automatically. I can save the document. And here, as you can see, it automatically selects the quantities I need to be able to consume and execute. So all I can do is either change, modify, or update as batches, as you can see here, or I can just go and keep it and say execute based on specific FIFO or expiration dates. So here I'm just going to say execute, and the system is automatically going to backflush based on the quantities defined, because the operators have a very powerful tool to keep and maintain for any of their requirements in terms of planification. So if I go back to SAP quickly and review some settings, I can go back in here. As you can see, here's actually consumed based on the quantities defined. And this does cover, to some portions, the factory data capture for production requirements. Thanks so much for your attention.